So I appreciate y'all. Okay, so I don't know if you guys happened to catch last night's episode of Accidentally Informed. That's the podcast with Erica Cobb and Claudia Jordan. I guessed it on there about 2 weeks ago, and Claudia was out yesterday, so they asked me to fill in for her. So I joined Erica on the podcast, and we spoke about this. But I did want to speak about this here to give you guys kind of my extended thoughts about this. For me, with this whole situation with Mary, and thank you, Crystal. I appreciate that. I appreciate the love. For me, this whole situation with Mary is such a complicated situation, y'all. First of all, we who have been in the Bravo universe, right? We went down this rabbit hole when we first met Mary in the trailers for this show. Okay. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you, Genesis. Says I'm only able to catch you live every once in a while, so I try to show love when I can. Love you, Richie. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that, especially on a day like today. Mm-mm-mm. I really, really appreciate it. Um, okay, so when we first were introduced to Mary, so many of us who were interested in this franchise, we went down the rabbit hole of learning about her past with her step grandfather, how she came to sort of inherit this church and the everything that kind of went along with this particular church, right? We went all the way into the nitty and the gritty with this church. We wanted to know everything. And of course, they made it a thing on the show. And it became even a bigger thing on the show when they brought in someone who was from the church who unfortunately ended up passing away later. And so those allegations again rose to the surface in season 2 and it became a thing. And I remember at one point during season 2, I believe it was either season 2 or season 3 that I believe that Whitney was asking for help to help take Mary down or to take Mary on, right? And so for me, I think one of the reasons why we got the Mary that we got back then was because I don't think that Mary felt safe on this show, as evidenced by her not appearing on, was it, I can't remember which season. I think it was maybe the season 3 reunion. It was one of those reunions where she just didn't even show up, right? And I think that at that point in time, I don't think that Mary felt protected by the cast or the production of that show, and she just chose to leave. And I think that the situation that occurred with Jeannie, I think that was her name. I can't even remember her. She was a one season wonder, and we had to bid her adieu. Thank goodness. But I just felt like you got a much more guarded Mary at that point. And now in this season and this past season, we got a much more open Mary, and the show has blossomed as a result. It truly has. It has really I just feel like it's elevated the show because she has become so much more integrated within the show. And she even talks in interviews about how much harder it is to go off on her castmates because she feels like she loves them at this point. So is huge, right? It's huge. We've seen her growth, we've seen her journey on this show, and we've empathized with her, especially with everything that's going on with her son. So I had to take us back because I'm like, for those of us who have been here for a while, we have already gone down this rabbit hole, right? We've already gone down the rabbit hole. We've already, there have been already the internet sleuths doing the investigations. And granted, it's an interesting situation that they have there with Mary. Similarly, there is an interesting situation that is happening with the Mormon church in general and the interest in the Mormon church with the incoming, with Salt Lake City becoming what it is in terms of the franchise. The Mormon church has definitely taken a spotlight in the world of entertainment. And you can even see that with them coming up with another concept like the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, right? So to me, I'm kind of like, well, what is the big thing now that it is becoming another thing that we need to talk about all over again. And here's the thing. There is no timeline, I guess, on people receiving justice. For those people who feel like they have been done wrong by this church, I can't speak to their experiences, especially given that I haven't seen this particular show. TLC, HBO, Discovery, if y'all want to send me a screener for it, I mean, I'll definitely watch it. But as of right now, I'm giving you my selfish, I'm going to say it, selfish, I know it, selfish take on this is that we've already been through this. We've already been through this. What, like, how, why is it a topic of interest again? And I wonder, you know, right now, I don't know if you guys know this, but on Peacock, there is a docu-series that is starring Heather Gay that is exploring surviving Mormonism. I don't know if you guys know that. It's happening right now. Furthermore, as we discussed, Erica brought this up last night on the podcast, is that this is exploding right. They dropped this a day or two before BravoCon, right? And we know that every time there's a BravoCon, there is some expose that is, supposedly coming out about somebody, right? So I just, wonder if the timing of this is such that it is coinciding with these other events for maximum impact, right? Or is this just another, I mean, is this the moment being a moment that is coincidentally coinciding with BravoCon and with Heather's documentary as well, right? So then we take things a step even further and just walk with me here. Because for me, as we then go down the rabbit hole of what is defined as a cult, we look at the general definition. And the general definition of a cult is a relatively small group of people having beliefs or practices, especially related to religion, that are regarded by others as strange or sinister or as imposing excessive control over members. That very definition could be used to describe any particular church. So when we think about this idea of Mary's church being a cult, then by the very definition of the word cult, you could literally almost ascribe that to in any number of churches and any number of religions, right? Based on your own perspective. The question that I have for the people involved is, have there been crimes committed? I mean, that's basically what it boils down to. Have there been crimes committed? And if there have been, then where are the charges? Because on the surface, someone could say that Mormonism sounds like a cult, as Tune In with Trey says, right? So, and if it is a monetary situation in which people feel like they have been coerced into giving their entire life savings of some sort, then I mean, again, it becomes a situation where you can kind of look at a whole range of church experiences, even some where that have been in the headlines where they've said lock the doors of the church, right? Ain't nobody leaving until y'all give and sow into this. And it's like, you know, it's such a nuanced thing is what I'm saying to people. And I guess again, I got to reserve my full judgment until I actually see it. I guess it just feels like it sucks because we finally feel like we're getting to know the Mary that lives on the inside and she's finally opening herself up. And now here we come back with those same things that have definitely been attached to her in the past, and we as a collective group of fans of the show and of hers have sort of been okay, there is this side of her, but there's also this side of her as well. There are these rumors, there are these allegations that we've heard about, and then there's this side that we're witnessing who is blossoming in front of us, in front of our very eyes. And I guess it's just difficult for me to reconcile both in this moment. But again, I'm gonna have to reserve my judgment until I actually see the doc and hear the experiences because it is a 3-hour doc. I want to give you guys the description. I mentioned that earlier, but I got kind of thrown off by the circumstances of dealing with technology. But it says TMZ's got your first look at the wild new trailer. The three-parter dives deep into Mary's eyebrow-raising marriage to her step-grandfather, Robert Cosby Sr., and the misconduct claims that dragged Faith Temple Pentecostal Church into one seriously controversial new chapter. Packed with never before heard recordings of Mary and Robert Cosby Sr.'s fiery sermons and rare archival footage from Faith Temple's early days, the doc peels back viral chatter to tackle the real question at the heart of it all. How have Mary and Robert managed to dodge accountability for this long? And you'll see in the comments, people are saying, we still gonna ride for Mary. Team Mary button. Somebody said side eye Lisa Barlow. It's very, very interesting to me. It's very interesting. Um, very interesting. And I guess my question next is, what is the ultimate goal of this? Is the ultimate goal of this to, in some way, shape, or form, incite some deeper level of law enforcement to look into this? Is that the reason for this? Or, I mean, because otherwise, why have there been no charges that have been filed in the case of this alleged misconduct, right? Or is this a situation where people feel like I gave $20,000 to the church and now I regret it? I mean, I don't know what the situation is. All I know is there's a doc. It's going to talk about the marriage, the early days of the church, alleged misconduct. I need to know what the misconduct is. Okay. Is this, and at the end of the day, is this a legal matter? Or are you trying to make it a legal matter? Is that the end result? What's the reason? What I mean, other than spectacle at this point, what are we hoping to achieve? Because they're asking for accountability, but for what crime? Other than to highlight, I mean, w- I don't know. I don't. I'm just trying to figure it out, just like the rest of y'all. So I don't know. I mean, and there is, I see definitely some comments in the chat feeling like, the way she got to where she is, they people feel like it was unsavory. And that's to be understood too. But I guess again, we've already haven't we already had these same discussions? I guess it kind of reminds me of like, have you ever had an argument with somebody and they keep saying the same thing over and over and over again, and you're just like, we've already talked about this. Or have you had like an argument? Like, if you ever been in a relationship or something like that, and you've had an argument once before, and now you're forced to sit through the argument again? It's like, I don't know about y'all, but I be like, I got 10 minutes to argue. We got 10 minutes. You got me for 10 minutes. Beyond when at that 11th minute, I have checked out, and I feel about like I'm at the 11th minute on this. Actually, I'm at the 10th. I mean the 20th, because we had this conversation 5 years ago. So what more do you want me to do now? Okay? Because now we just going around in circles. So that's kind of how I feel. Like, are we going around in a circle with this? Because if the people involved haven't filed some type of charges, I mean, what do you want the general public to do? We have talked about this. We've deep dived on it. We didn't really know where to go with it then, and it don't sound like we're gonna really know where to go with it now. So what do you want us to do is my question. I mean, what's the objective here? Because they say accountability, but in what form? Because at the end of the day, if it is just to showcase it, you're still going to either have people who either still rock with her or they don't. Chances are the people that never rock with her ain't going to change their mind. Chances are the people that rock with her ain't going to change their mind. So if the goal is now you want to bring someone to justice, okay, for a crime, then that's a different story. And I guess we just got to wait and see in another month or so, the first day of the year, mind you. January 1st, I'm not going to be sitting there watching this. Okay? I'm not. I'm going to be celebrating the new year. Doggone it, we made it. That is not going to be the thing that I'm watching on January the 1st. Now give me till January the 3rd and I might watch it. But that's just me. So y'all need to send me the screener ahead of time so I can let the people know what is really given, what the end result is. Okay? All right. In other what you want me to do about it news, Jazzy's finally spilling the tea. So y'all, this story about Jazzy, to me, it is kind of much ado about nothing, right? Only because I feel like the situation that happened between Jazzy and her man, like, they married now. So if we had met Jazzy 4 years ago and then she met her man while she's on the show, all of this might be a bigger deal. But we didn't know her then. So in terms of my TV worry, right? Like, we as viewers got 10,000 things to be concerned about, right? This ain't one of them. But I'm glad she clearing it up if you are choosing to believe her, right? But I do have a couple of questions as a result of her revealing what really happened. Okay, so just walk with me. And I like Jazzy. I really do. I like her. So let's read what she has to say. She says, "My husband did not have 2 children on me." Now, I want to note that is what Kiana intimated on the show, right? At the horse race. So, but let me continue. "My husband did not have 2 children on me. Let's make that very clear." I can almost hear her saying this. Let's make that very clear. 14 days before my wedding, Tia, He simply didn't tell me a woman was already 7 months preggers with their second child when we first got together. No more, no less. The baby was coming before I ever entered his life. This narrative is so gross. Somebody said in the chat though, he basically cheated on his baby mama with you, girl. That would be alleged, I would say, but I don't know if that was the case. It could have been that the man and the girl was done. I don't know. We don't know this for certain. If the girl ain't come out and said nothing, so it must not have been a situation where Jazzy was the side chick, as people may be wanting to assume, right? Maybe. I don't know. I kind of feel like this too. If she like it, I love it, right? That's where I'm at, you know. But shall we proceed? Yes, indeed. Finding out about the child when he was one already was one. Oh no, finding out about the child when he was one was already hard enough because two people knew about me and never said anything until they wanted to, and that's their prerogative. But painting it and forcing this on him is loser energy. Y'all gonna stop playing on Darius Harris's top. As for the cheating talk, what he did when we didn't even live in the same state in the first 2-3 months of dating wasn't shocking. I didn't expect a man I barely knew to be sitting in a room alone. Let's be faux real. Um, my question is less about these cheering. My question, wait, did she? Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Oh God. I had said at the beginning of this, I wasn't invested in that. I wasn't too much invested into it. I guess I should have been a little bit more invested, baby. I didn't know the baby mama was out there doing the interviews. Lord have mercy. Oh God. Lord have mercy. Well, burst my bubble, why don't you? And maybe Jazzy's too. um, well, Stacy says it's on Color Me Pink's channel. I will see if I can go and find that and place it in the description so that you guys can watch that interview. What's up, Mims? Um, says I question the motive of all pastors who live a life of total abundance and prioritize worldly possessions. That was also my thing too. It's like there is you enter such a fine line when you think about you know what pastors are paid, you know, for different churches, how much they make in comparison to maybe the state of the church and the state of the congregation. You just be unless it almost kind of feels like if you're scrutinizing Mary, you also have a lot of other people that you could be scrutinizing as well because you just don't know what it looks like, right? Does it look as though she and her husband were making were living in gold-plated, luxury lifestyles while the congregation was suffering? Then there is something to be said for like, y'all, that ain't kosher, right? So it's just a lot. When you think about religion and people's churches and how the money is divvied up at the end of the service, where does all of the money go? How should that pastor be living? What is the agreement between the church, the pastor, and what does the agreement with the congregation look like? How does the congregation feel about it? Do they still want to continue to go there, right? So there's a lot that you have to consider when you think about religion and finances, and then where that money is going. Is it going into another for-profit venture, or is it going into nonprofit storehouses. You know, I mean, just, and I'm probably not using the correct terminology for that, but you know, it's just there's a lot to consider. There's a lot to consider. But yeah, for Jazzy, it sounds like there's a lot to consider here too. Um Listen, because if the baby mama is out there painting him to be this person and is giving a very different story than the one that Jazzy is giving, then Jazzy, you got a problem, girl. Um and my other question is, if the story that you are giving right here is true, then my sweet beloved, why did you not give Kiana the same smackdown that you gave Tia 14 days before your wedding? Because Kiana is the on the show said that your man had some alleged that your man had some babies on you or something like that. I don't know. Alleged. That's my wonderization. Like, why ain't you go snap, crackle, pop on her the same way that you did on Tia? Because to me, what Kiana said was far more egregious than what Tia said, which seemed fairly innocuous. So I think that the fire in this post should have been reserved for Kiana. Sorry, Kiana, no disrespect to you. Uh, but just in the general context of the fire and brimstone, um, should that not have been directed Kiana's way for saying what she said? You know, I'm just wondering. That's just my wonderization. Um, Somebody let me know. Okay, y'all, that's really all I got. I don't know how many more times I could do a story. I could do a video over two times. It happened yesterday and it happened today, but I'm determined um to do my job and have our daily conversation. So um my throat is killing me from talking so much. So y'all, I'm about to go and drink some tea and I got some more work to do. But yeah, man, listen, remind me, let me go and see if I can find that video on Color Me Pink's channel and put it in the description so y'all can see that. So I got a little bit of research to do. TLC, Warner Brothers, Discovery people, if y'all got that screener for that show, go ahead and send it to my inbox. You already got my email. What you waiting on? Should have been sent it already, unless y'all thought I was going to talk about it beforehand, in which case that's not going to happen. Send me the screener so I can review it, let the people know whether they need to watch or not. And with that being said, y'all, that's all I got. I love y'all. I'll catch y'all in the next video.